It's the final.
Gotta lie to myself sometimes.
Nothing
I'm late. That's what happened.
can keep Buffalo Air
When we hit trees.
from making history.
Pretty badass.
Canadian history.
Minus 50.
Northern snow.
Ice Pilots. October 20th. This is History Now.
Hey there, Greg David from TVA. Thanks for joining us for this live stream with Mikey McBrien, the star of Ice Pilots NWT, which returns for Season 6, its final flight. On Wednesday, October the 29th at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Mikey, thanks for taking the time.
Well, Greg, thanks for coming out.
No problem.
It's the first time in YouTube. It looks a lot smaller than I thought it would be.
It is smaller. It is. It's kind of like the Doctor Who box.
It's for one of the biggest channels in the world. You think it'd be a little...
Well, before we get into some questions from the fans, and we've got tons of them, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions about Buffalo. And now that the show is ending, is it going to be kind of weird to not have these cameramen and these boom microphones around you guys 24/7 while they're filming?
Surprisingly, the camera crews at Buffalo were really minimalistic. We had basically maybe one director and one camera guy. So there wasn't booms like you see, behind the scenes stuff. It wasn't really that intrusive. In fact, a lot of the guys that shot the show, Abel and Todd Craddock and these guys, and they were almost Buffalo employees themselves. So you're going to miss the people more than the cameras. You get used to them.
Right. So you've hired these guys on then as rampies, backup rampies in case you need them.
I wish they would be pretty good. They've seen it all. So when you watch Ice Pilots in any show, you got to remember there's a camera guy also with it.
Right.
So there's this. You're only getting half the story a lot of times with Ice Pilots. In season 5 of last year, our final episode there, we actually went behind the scenes and you can meet the guys.
Right.
Which was really cool for me because there's one thing about the show, but there's also the behind the scenes, which is really cool.
How is tourism affected? How's the show affected tourism in Yellowknife? Has it increased?
Yeah, for sure. We got a lot of people coming from all around the world.
Yeah.
Australia, New Zealand, lots from Germany that come specifically to the hangar to see, the airplanes and all of us, and which is really cool.
To have somebody from Germany or England or Australia say, we came here all the way just to see you. I guess you have to make sure that you're always fresh faced and ready to go, right?
Yeah. It's and some a lot of times people don't even call. They just show up and they're looking through the fence, and they're like, "Oh, come in." We've had an Australian family with 2 young boys, and they're actually were to choose between Disneyland and Buffalo, and they chose us.
Wow.
And I was like, "Could I go to Disneyland?"
Yeah.
But it was really cool, and we've a lot of people, not just Canada, but the world, which was really cool, and it was totally unintentional.
Right.
This was never in the a bunch of guys from here were flying airplanes.
Now I remember, right around the show debuted. I mean, this was kind of your baby. You were kind of, saying to your dad, Joe, we should do this. It's going to give us, a lot of promotion for the airways. Yeah. So has he kind of softened over the years?
A little bit. Like I was saying, he was against it about 99%. So we're about 86% now, and if we made it to season 20, he would have been probably 50%. So. How
do you feel about this being the last one?
It's to be honest, it's a little tough. It's just being every day as Ice
Right.
Pilots. If I'm not shooting Ice Pilots, we're promoting it or doing events like this, and you know what? I'm gonna miss it. We had a really good time, and I'm just proud that it ended how it ended. In any television, the C word is the worst thing ever. So it's cool for the fans and for us to have a final season instead of, how and you get the C word sometime in the summer.
And you don't get a chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, so this is a huge goodbye to everybody. And I just hope everyone likes it.
So speaking of the fans, these fans around the world, we've got some questions on Facebook and Twitter. So let's get into some of them. Isabella, she's got 3 questions. Number 1 is, what's the future of Buffalo Airways? The second one, can you predict that you will be able to fly these old planes? And the third one is, how can you stay competitive in the airline industry? So those are 3 changing ones. So let's do the first one. What's the future of Buffalo Airways?
Buffalo has not changed since it started in 1970, and it's not going to change. We are who we are. It's like asking the Hells Angels are going to start driving Hondas, right?
Right.
They're not. They're going to still do the exact same thing, and we're going to do the same. The airplanes might get shinier. even if a new airplane comes in, we'll still be the same. So more of the same.
And how much longer can you going to be able to fly all these planes? Because as I'm watching, you guys are constantly having to fix them. In the first episode of season 6, it's a windshield and an engine.
It's, you know what, for the other airplanes, there's a timeline.
Yeah.
You know, we quit flying this year for freight. We're focused on the Electra. But like the DC-3 behind me, it's not our airplane. It's our father's airplane. We're only borrowing it for a short amount of time. So it won't be us that grounds a DC-3, it'll be your grandkids or even their grandkids. That airplane,
Wow.
it's just unbelievable. As long as you have pilots, you'll have a DC-3.
And then the last question that she asks is, how do you guys stay competitive in this industry?
Well, we stay competitive by doing the jobs that no one else wants to do.
Right.
You know, Air Canada and WestJet aren't, you know, flying into or ice strips and that kind of stuff. So if we become an airline, we just become like everyone else. That's why we're Buffalo Airways. We do the jobs no one else wants to do.
And there's so many communities, you know, no secret to people who watch the show, that depend on you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't land there with food, they, you know, they don't have food. So is there a little bit of that as well, that you guys just have so many small communities depending on you that you really can't walk away from that, can you?
No, it's well, there's always if there's a gap, someone will fill it.
Right.
But yeah, for the affordability, we get the food in there as cheap as possible for these people because it's very expensive. Like, you know, like the horror stories of, you know, expensive stuff there. But Norman Wells, Downey, Toledo, and Fort Good Hope are 4 main communities that we service, and they're the communities that keep us alive. So if we're keeping them alive, they're returning the favor by keeping us alive.
Excellent. Charlie asks, do you have any future expansion plans for the company international or for the fleet?
As of right now, not really. You know, we're really good with our CL215s and the Electra. And those didn't exist at Buffalo, you know, 8 years ago. They existed for the length of Ice Pilots, but those are relatively, you know, a decade old. Is a new aircraft for us. But right now, it's all customer based. If a customer comes in and says they need something, then we supply it. But that's the way kind of aviation is all customer orientated. So the customer didn't really need a DC-4; they need an Electra, so we got an Electra.
Right.
Put out fires, you need a 215, and so it's not so much the future of Buffalo, but it would be the aviation industry in the Northwest Territories that will depict what airplanes we use.
And how hard is it for you guys to kind of adjust to that evolution as it goes on, as the years goes by, and those needs?
Well, that's the game.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these mines, they don't allow piston airplanes. So we have to go even further north or to more extreme places to run. But, you know, this airplane, like the airplane behind me, that's CUE. It first landed in Yellowknife. It was the first airplane ever to land at Yellowknife Airport in the 40s.
Wow.
And we're still flying today. Yeah. And it wasn't Buffalo at the time, it was military at the time.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Switching gears a little bit, Rob wants to know what your favorite food is and to not say buffalo wings.
Well, then there's nothing else. Maybe a hot dog? I don't know.
All right. And then Ryan asks about if we're going to see any buffalo equipment at the annual Hamilton, Ontario Air Show, and maybe as you talk about any upcoming air shows. Yeah.
Actually, Buffalo, we don't really do air shows.
Okay.
Because we're so far away.
Yeah.
Like, we're closer to Russia than most of these air shows. But to be honest, the Hamilton Air Show is by far my favorite.
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of air shows, but the Hamilton, awesome. The people there are awesome. It'd be really stretched to get an airplane.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be like a 14-hour flight for us. So right now, you might just be watching them on TV. Unless you want to come out to Yellowknife, it's an air show every day.
Right, exactly. A question that I've always wanted to ask you, so I'm glad that you're here today, is that what would the show be like if it was in the summer? Like, is there nothing? You guys obviously aren't having to fight the same challenges that you are in minus 50-degree weather in the winter. So what's summer like for Buffalo?
Everyone's smiling. We get along. Nothing else happens. You know, everyone's holding hands.
Right. So
Lunch
you kumbaya.
Oh yeah, summer's like a joke. It's like summer camp.
Really?
Once you experience the winter, as a physical person there, the summers are like a vacation. It's nice. So if you put that in TV terms,
Right.
if you experience it, and then you come back in the summer and you're like, so that's why in the show, anytime it's summer, we're doing something else, flying the turkey, or this season, 4 of the boys go out and they do dogfighting in LA.
Wow.
Which is a really cool opportunity for them.
Yeah.
So that's not something that we would normally do.
Okay.
But because of the show and the opportunities the show brought to us, we had the opportunity there and give a little bit back to the pilots over the last 6 years of hard work.
So are you guys just as busy in the summer that you are in the winter, or is there downtime?
Well, the summer we do all the force fighting.
Right.
Which you get a little bit on the show, but because of government regulations, they're not allowed cameras, they're not allowed that. So you only get a sneak peek of it. But actually, as Buffalo, as a company, financially, we actually make a lot of money doing the force fighting. From Ice Pilots' point of view, it's almost invisible because of government regulations.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your dad, because he's as much of a star of the show as the like with him. Have you guys gotten closer as a result of the show? Or apart?
No, I'd say closer, because the show, when we do stuff like dam busting or any of the crazy stuff we do, I have to fight with him nonstop. Because he just wants every day to be exactly the same.
Right.
Because that's what he's been doing.
Right.
These flights and boom, where I come in with something outlandish, and it messes up the rhythm. So it's, I get a lot, it's a lot different. We all aged 6 years too, right? I was a little kid when this show started.
Right.
So it's all good, man. I think it's all good. And I'm 73 episodes. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. So let's take a few more questions from some of the fans. And Stu wants to know, kind of a personal question, but let's ask it anyway. Did you try to date your personal trainer? She was really nice.
Tara. No. Tara's awesome. Actually, we're going to a hockey game on Saturday. But no, nothing official there.
Okay. And Per in Sweden, wondering how the future, that's a question about the future Buffalo Ace. So let's ask the other question which is, I had it written down. You know what, let's move on to another question. He wants to know, Andrew wants to know, will you install ESB in Yellowknife so that we can follow Buffalo and other airlines' planes in the north?
I have no clue what that means.
It's a satellite. I looked this up actually in prep, and it's like a satellite system so that your planes can be tracked.
Oh yeah, we got full satellite tracking.
Right.
But with aviation, especially what we do, you don't really want everyone to know where you are.
Right.
Because if the competitors know you're on a trip, because it was one thing for WestJet and all that kind of stuff, but for us, we don't want to know the competition to know where we're going, how many times we've been there.
Right.
Because if you're going to a place lots, then they go, why aren't we going? So there's still a lot of secrecy up north, and so we have our sat tracker that we have personally. In fact, I can look at my phone right now and figure out where all the airplanes are.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
We could do that with Siri now as well. We can ask the planes that are flying overhead. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about this season. I've seen the first episode, and right out of the gate, there's problems with the plane. There's a fire. Can you kind of tease a little bit some of the challenges that you and the team face this season?
This season, we're in season 6, and this has been the coldest winter in 45 years. Last year, the big marketing thing was the coldest year in 22 years. We shattered that this year, and it just everything goes wrong that can go wrong. The Poor 46, our workhorse, one of my favorite airplanes in the world, has a major problem this episode, and the boys get together, work it, and get it going, and because we got to get the food to the places there.
Something that amazed me is every doors open, it takes hours and hours for the temperature to come back up again. People just don't understand how cold it gets up there.
Oh yeah, if you open the doors at minus 40, it's $1,000 of heat that's gone,
right?
And about 4 hours to warm it up. And if the door gets stuck, you have about 45 minutes before all the pipes in the place burst. And if the power goes out with the doors closed, you have 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you're done.
Is there anything over this last 6 years where the cameras were rolling and recorded something and then it didn't make it to air and you kind of wish it had?
Tons.
Yeah.
Tons. There's so much stuff recorded. Grant comes in the hangar this year.
Yeah.
It doesn't make the show.
Really?
Guy Lafleur comes in the hangar.
What had to happen so Guy Lafleur didn't make it on? Wow.
Exactly. So, there's a whole bunch of stuff that was cut in room floor. We filmed so much nonstop. So there's months that we film and maybe get 2 or 3 minutes, and then there's an hour that we film that we get a whole episode out of.
Right.
So it's really give or take, but there's a room in Vancouver where the show's put together of just me swearing, I guess, on these.
That would make a good blooper.
Oh yeah. No, you could do about a 2-day blooper reel just me swearing.
What's the most common question that you get from fans when you run into them? Is it about the equipment? What is it?
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Number 1, is the show still going? Number 2, is your dad really that cranky? Number 3, why don't you get your pilot's license? Number 4 would be, all of the above. Like it's usually how's your dad in real life, and is the show still going?
Why don't you have your pilot's license?
I don't know. I got to fly some of the most amazing airplanes in the world, like being Lancaster, B-29, F-18. All these amazing airplanes, Beech 18 and Stearmans and all that stuff, but never got my pilot's license.
Do you want to now that the show's done and you're going to have apparently all this time?
So much time now. One of my favorite questions was, what are you going to do with all the airplanes now the show's over? I'll send them back to Hollywood, I guess. I told one person, there was one person I ran into, it was like West Edmonton Mall or something in Edmonton, and they were like really how long would you get your script and all this stuff? And I'm like, no, it's actual. They really thought it was like a sound stage and we're acting. Like they had no comprehension that this was even a reality show. They thought it was like Trailer Park Boys or something.
That must be surprising to you to hear something like that. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Just those people, obviously they're not just the only ones that think that either.
Yeah, it's you get the whole spectrum. You get the spectrum of people think it's absolutely fake,
right.
And you get the spectrum that people think it's the letter of the law. Like there's sound playing, and Lenny Kravitz comes in the hangar every morning to wake us up.
Right.
Like you get the whole spectrum. Like if some people think that it's like hour for hour accurate, where it's not. Like you film over 3 weeks,
right?
And you put together and you cut things out and you add music and that kind of stuff. So it's just awesome. It's awesome just running into people and hearing their opinions and all that stuff, which is good.
You've more that you never thought that the show was going to take off, so to speak.
It was a joke. Like it was all an inside joke.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that, saying that it was an inside joke. Did the Omni folks come up? Did they come to you with the idea?
Yeah. What happened? There's a huge story. But what happened was a producer was reading. David Golson was reading the newspaper, seen a story about Buffalo, did some research. Said, "Don't phone Joe." Somehow he got my phone number. I was in college at the time in marketing class. He phoned me up. I left class. He basically said, "Do you want to be on TV?" I said, "Sure." Go back into class, and teachers. I'm like, well, some guy asked me if I wanted my own reality show, which is now a documentary series. You can't say reality show,
right?
And then everyone laughed and stuff. But yeah, and so we sat down and for about 6 months, kind of like put a template of what a show would look like, and then we submitted it. He came to this very building we're at, Shaw, which was Can West at the time,
right?
And pitched it, and people said, "Yeah." Gelson phoned me up and says, "I got some very bad news." And I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "We got greenlit, now we have to make the show." I was like, "Oh." Like I was signing all the contracts and everything like that. And yeah, and sure enough, we on my spring break, we went up and we shot the pilot, and then we came back when I graduated. It was a show, episode 1, when the airplane has a problem. Like it was like our first day. Everyone was there and we were filming, and everything was caught as is.
You were in school for marketing. I've been up to Buffalo Airways and seen just all the stuff that you guys have offered. So how do you decide what you're going to have in that shop? I mean, the prerequisite, the ball cap and the T-shirt. What are some of the more unique offer there?
Oh, geez, we got ladies' underwear, playing cards, resin models, die-cast models, pretty much everything. My marketing teacher was a huge fan of Gene Simmons from Kiss.
Yeah.
And if anyone sees anything of Gene, he's just a marketing guru. They even have a Kiss coffee.
They do, and I was going to ask, is there a Buffalo?
Okay, we can make one up. But at our, I think we had 96 different items on our peak, and then I dialed it down because it was just getting out of hand. But yeah, check it out. All your holiday good stuff.
We talked a little bit earlier about the weather. So what's the weather like up there now in Yellowknife?
It's the in-between.
Okay.
So we're cold.
Okay.
So you're still not plugging your truck in,
Mm-hmm.
but you're you're not yet taking your Canada Goose out, but you're thinking about it. So you don't take your Canada Goose out until about minus 25, minus 30.
That's a perfect segue into my next question, because in the first episode we see Pref Car, your newest Randy,
Yeah.
going out and getting all the Canada Goose stuff to the
Yeah.
I think it's like $500.
Are we sponsored by Canada Goose? Yeah, maybe we should get
You
some free
should. You should be. But so what's he like? What can you kind of tease his experience? I mean,
Pref Car is
Yeah.
one of the hardest workers around. Coming right from India and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? He's a slugger, man. That guy's got some drive into him. So he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest. But when it comes to heart, hard to find anyone that would compete with him.
And what's the update on Scott Blue? What's he up to now?
I'll give you an opportunity to talk about old Scotty. Semi-retired now.
Okay.
He's flying. He's not working the winters. He's just flying the firefighters in the summer. He was on a big European trip. I was getting Snapchats with fans. I'm seeing him in France and stuff. So he's doing good. You know, Scotty. It was Scotty and I that worked together and came here. 6 years ago to this building, almost to the day, and started the whole thing. So Scott's a trooper. He made the cut all the way through.
Well, before we go, I just want to get you to say kind of a final message to the fans before the show returns for its final season. Mm-hmm. So what do you want to say to the fans who've been along for the ride?
I just want to thank everybody. You guys have been amazing. There's barely any negative. The fans have been so positive and so helpful. And I just want to say thank you, and hopefully you can enjoy the final season and have fun and feel free to come up. If Ice Pilots is done, it's not that you could just come up the hangar, look in the window and make your own.
And he is still going to be working even though the show's done. You don't get to put your feet up.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, shut the airline down.
Return the planes to Hollywood. So again, guys, the show comes back. It's final season. Go ahead. Give us do you remember the day, the time, the network? Season 6.
It's October 29th.
Yes.
10 p.m.
Yes.
On what's it? History? Are we on history? Yeah.
You got it.
Okay, yeah, we're on history. Like everyone behind the camera's like, oh, look at Shaw best ever. Didn't watch anything else. Shaw Media Products.